Hey everybody, it's going to be a real Sunday Night SmackDown tonight. Woo-hoo!
Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Hey everybody, welcome to Late Late Horror Show. I'm Dino, that is Ginger, and we are about to talk about a great disco giallo. Listen, I'm confused, but yes, we're going to talk about Eyes of Laura Mars, 1978. This was Ginger's recommendation. But hello everybody. Good.
The disgust in your voice, you're so rude. I mean,
Listen,
listen to the
I think
tone of your voice, so smarmy. Like,
listen, I want to go a little over the top just for the hell of it. But listen, it wasn't a bad movie. But
because
listen,
it's fun to bash a movie that Ginger picked. You picked 90 movies and Ginger picks one and you're gonna shit all over it.
no, I'm not gonna do that.
Yes,
But
you are.
listen, hello, Kathy Evans. Hey, Dennis, what's going on? RTN Productions, Rich Cat Ranch. No, it's okay that you've never seen this film because I never did up until today either, or yes, last night, the previous. Other than yes. And one thing I remember in these two models getting murdered and their phone answering. Listen, Dennis, don't give stuff away. You know better, Danny. No. Yeah, they actually hired two beautiful models in here, and yeah, they get it. But anyways, it doesn't even pertain to the movie. I mean, whatever. WWM, Roger S. Max, what's going on? Vicky Alcorn. Good to see everybody. Connie is here. And
Connie,
I
my
think that,
darling.
yeah, I think that does it right now. The Eyes of Laura Mars. Okay,
Not
so
the eyes, not the eyes. It's just
no, it's
eyes
eyes
of Laura
because it
Mars.
was
Get it right.
technically, listen, it was technically Eyes. John Carpenter wrote this script, not this one, because
They
listen,
tore it apart.
they 9 writers, 10 writers later, Irvin Kershner.
Unrecognizable.
Unrecognizable. It had nothing to do with what John Carpenter had.
But he did use
done.
some of the material later.
Yes.
When he did his next movie, which was
Halloween. Well, I mean, of course. Yeah. I mean, listen, this script may have 100% been. This script may have been something similar to Halloween in a way. You know, the whole thing was with John Carpenter was the faceless person. He said this about Halloween. He said it about this movie because they changed it so much and they wanted a face to the killer, and which ended up not happening anyways. And we'll get into it and talk about it. But what a beautiful opening with Barbra Streisand, right? Prisoner. Oh,
that's
so
my
good.
second favorite Streisand song. I have 3 big favorites. Guilty, that she does with Maurice Gibb. Prisoner. And the third one is
Barry Gibb, man. I tell you. Yeah, no, I know.
Memories.
A Star is Born, which was done 2 years earlier. Listen, Barbra Streisand was supposed to play this role that Faye Dunaway played.
Yes.
And,
because she was going out with
John Peters.
John Peters.
Who was a hairdresser. And he made millions to the stars.
And the movie
revolves
with Warren
around.
Beatty is actually based on John Peters because he was a hairstylist.
John Peters and another hairdresser, but yeah, similar. John Peters, yes.
You just can't let me have just one. Like, can I have one? Can you give me one?
Yes, right on, Ginger. CM, what's going on? Night Fright Talk Show. Scotia Dragoon. Joe Bonamassa does a wicked version of that song. Okay, yeah, very good. Whoever the heck he is, I have no idea. Bernie Gambano. Bernie, where the hell you been, bud? Yo, this is nuts. I used to get notifications all the time from this channel.
Yo, this is nuts, yo.
I don't know how long it's been since. LOL. Yeah, listen, YouTube's kind of they've always been this way, but they've just rolled out another update, and I'm sure a lot of
Things have
people
been
are.
kind of strange.
I think a lot of people aren't getting notifications again
I was
because of
not at first until you told me to check.
and you got to hit the bell again.
Yes.
So there you go. If people really like the channel, they'll come and do a search for it and all that. But listen, let's get to this movie, man.
That
Because
line you just said, Dino.
what's that?
You said if people love the channel, they'll take the time to go back. And the very end of this movie, a similar question almost.
Oh, hey, look
Do you
at
know what I'm
that.
talking about?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
I mean,
yes.
you're gonna hate on this movie, and I have to be the one that loves it. And I don't even love it that much, but you're trying to just trash it.
No, let me open it up
Yeah.
this way. Again, I'm kind of go the same way as even some of these ones I've been given middle of the ground,
You
opinions
mean the
on.
last three stinkers that you picked?
I listen, Ginger. I want you to throw movies out there to me. Doesn't mean we're going to agree on
So
them.
you
That's what
can
makes
grab
the
them in
show
your
great.
teeth and rip them to shreds and
Listen,
spit them
okay,
out at
so
my
listen.
feet.
Listen, this was produced by, let me get all this information out of the way, then we'll go into this film and you can speak about the glorious filming, whatever. So this was produced by John Peters, Eyes of Laura Myers, 1978. They say directed by Irvin Kershner. It is. It was supposed to be John Carpenter, but John Carpenter ended up being the writer. He wrote the screenplay, the script, and ended up selling it to them for $20,000, whatever. I'm sure he got more out of it in the end when they wanted
Because
to
his
use
name
his
was
name.
on it.
Yes, because they want to use his name because Halloween came out 3 months later and was a bigger hit. But anyways, because John Carpenter's the man. But we have in this film, we got Laura Mars, who is Faye Dunaway. We got, and I got to say these characters because they're all standouts, but they're all like, other than Faye Dunaway, they're kind of new to the scene. Like John Neville is played by Tommy Lee Jones, a young Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, he was yummy.
Brad Dourif of
The
Child's Play.
great Brad Dourif.
Oh, Brad Dourif was fantastic. Yeah, no, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but he does a great job in everything he does. He plays Tommy Ludlow, the driver for Faye Dunaway. Then we have Donald Phelps, who is her like assistant manager.
Her
agent. And he's played by Renee Abershanois, whatever. Odo.
Father Mulcahy from MASH.
Yeah, or Odo from Deep Space Nine, if you're a Star Trek fan. Let me just say, man, he is a character. Yikes. Anyway, so and Michael, who is Faye Dunaway's ex-husband, who is played by Raul Julia, who's got a bit rolling here. So you've got Brad Dourif, Tommy Lee Jones, Raul Julia. I mean, all starting their career here. So there's some good names which eventually got in the movie because this movie, as much as you love it, Ginger, was so messed up with so many things. Like you said, 9 writers. People didn't want to do the movie. Barbara didn't want to do the movie. Others didn't want to do the movie. They're saying, hey, what the heck? And they kept just changing it and changing it and changing it. And other people came in. And then you got what you got at the end. Listen, even the end of this movie wasn't there until they got there, until the end of filming. And they said, okay, how are we going to tie this up? I mean, this is how nuts they were with trying to wrap this all in and how it's considered an American Giallo. Listen.
Oh, no, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Listen, I got to go there.
Don't you dare.
Listen, it's considered an American Giallo film.
For a reason.
Oh, but they messed it up so much that it takes away a bit from the Giallo factor in my eyes. But I get it.
Because it's American. It's American Giallo.
It's yeah,
They
point of
admit
view.
that they're trying to learn from the best. They admit that. This is the
But
first. Do you consider this to be the first American Giallo?
um oh geez. I mean, it's a tough one, right? I mean, I don't know.
Think of
Just to Kill
Clute.
came after.
Did you see Clute with Jane Fonda?
Yes. What year was that again?
That was early 70s, 71, 72
Well,
maybe.
there you go then. How about let's say that's the first American Giallo that I know of. Donald Sutherland in Clute. That's probably, but there's probably another one. I just don't know offhand. Okay.
Okay, can we talk about who else is in this movie? Because I'm so excited about who else is in this movie. And I know that I know some factoids about those models that you don't know. I know that
Yes.
I
Okay.
do. I know
Yes.
that I
Yes.
do.
Yes. Let me finish real quick because I do want to finish my kind of tirade on the Giallo
Okay.
factor of this film
Just
because
remember, put a pin in this. Remember where you were. You have to finish the cast.
yes, yes.
Proceed.
Just because I really listen, there's aspects of Giallo in this film. The point of view of the killer,
Thank you.
the stalker
The
type,
police investigation.
yeah. Um, but listen, man, I mean, there were
The
so many things.
twists, all the red herrings. So many red herrings.
Well,
It could be anybody.
there's red herrings in slasher movies and horror movies,
Oh,
just regular old
there are also red
mystery
herrings in
movies.
Giallo movies.
Okay, we can move on from that. I won't. I won't like
When
just
Dino
keep going
knows
on
he's
about
lost an
that.
argument, he says, "All right, let's move on. Fine,
Well,
let's
no,
move
I
on."
mean,
Because that means
I'm
I
not saying
won.
you're wrong. People say but listen, it's considered a disco giallo. I mean, listen, it
Still a
takes
Giallo.
if you call it that, yeah. No,
Well,
it
apparently
is.
people do because you're butthurt about it.
No, it is. Hey, Odie Dillon, what's going on? Sutherland was great in the Puppet Masters.
Sutherland
What
was great in
the?
everything he was in.
Wait, no. Wait a second. What was Donald Sutherland was he in? Maybe one of the later Puppet Masters. Yeah, I have no idea, man. Paul Phoenix, what's going on? Quack quack. Yeah, there's no ducks in this one, man.
There's a mannequin in this. Did you see the
Just
mannequin?
I saw the mannequin.
Are mannequins not also considered like an element of a Giallo?
Well, a lot of times they're in there because
Say
sex
yes.
plays.
Say yes. Just say yes.
Yes, because sex is a big part of a lot of these giallo. Anyways, okay, tell me about the cast. Go ahead. I'd really like to
Darlene
know.
Flugel. Darlene Flugel.
Darlene Flugel.
She's
Who
so
is she?
cute. And she was in one of my favorite movies of all time with
Okay.
William Peterson, To Live and Die in LA.
Oh, good film. Yes.
She was in that. She played the prostitute, of course.
Okay.
And she was also in another movie that I love, Running Scared, with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. She played Billy Crystal's ex-wife.
There you go. Yeah.
I
Only
was
Billy
like, is that
Crystal.
Darlene Flugel? And somebody else too.
Only Billy Crystal movie I will watch is When Harry Met Sally. Anyways,
You don't
that's
like
one of my.
Promo from the Train?
Well, they know that's a good one. He had a few good ones there, but
did.
then yeah, he quickly disappeared. But
And
when
Running
Harry
Scared
met
was one of them.
I'd have to revisit that movie. But When Harry Met Sally is one of my favorite films of all time.
That's because you're a big sappy romantic.
I know I am.
You
Listen, the love
are.
story, man. I love it.
Yes.
Love it. Deep Red has to be my favorite Giallo. Oh, here we go. Paul Phoenix. Listen, Deep Red is probably up there as at one point it was my number one. I think it still might be my number one. So yes, Paul, I agree with you, man. It's a far cry from Eyes of Laura Mars.
So there's another woman in this movie.
Okay.
She's a model. She's
Okay.
the dark-haired, exotic-looking one.
Yes.
I can't remember her name. Do you know what she was in?
No, but she's the one that was in the changing room that took her top off.
Yeah, well, they all did that, didn't they?
Hama, Jiminy, if you guys
I don't remember
wait,
her
what?
name. She has an Italian name.
Oh yeah, Billy Crystal was also in The Princess Bride. Yes, yes, another great
This isn't
one.
about Billy Crystal.
I know. Well, Peter Wernicke. Well, hey, we got to involve them. Come on. So let me see if I could find the name.
Anyway, she was in Nighthawks with Rutger Hauer and Sylvester
Oh,
Stallone.
okay.
When Billy D. Williams and Sylvester Stallone were out looking for Wolfgar, and they saw
Mhm.
Wolfgar in that club, they were in a nightclub. He was dancing. He liked dark-haired women. He was dancing with a gorgeous dark-haired girl who was wearing a red tube dress, a skinny, skinny red tube dress.
Ooh, mama.
That was the same girl that's in this movie. And I can't remember. Her
Oh,
last name's
mama.
like Leonetti or something like that.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
Anyway, you're
Red.
just
You said
mm.
you said tight red dress, right? Who?
Yes.
Odie Dillon says, Dino, that was 1994. Donald Sutherland and the Puppet Masters. 1994, really? Man, it's been a while since I need to restart the. Well, no, I don't need to restart the Puppet Masters. But anyways, I like the films, but hey, I'm not just other stuff to get to. But thanks, Odie Dillon. It's good. Hey, Terrence M. Ritchie, what's going on? So yeah, now that we got the cast out of the way, thank you, Ginger. The models were fantastic too. So glad you pointed those out because, hey, they need their due. Last one for Billy Crystal, I promise. City Slickers. Anyways, let's get off the Billy Crystal
And
thing.
the soundtrack, I really like the soundtrack to this movie because every song in this movie I remember roller skating to it or something when I was a
Oh
kid.
gosh.
Like
Well, yeah, no.
Casey and the Sunshine Band. Are you kidding me?
Listen, it's there's some nostalgia in this film. I give it that. As for story and where they take things,
And the acting, I was so
especially the ending.
surprised at some of the acting. I was like, oh, that's really cheesy. I mean,
Yeah.
Faye Dunaway, like, I was
Well,
like,
again,
oh my God, that scene looked so forced and unnatural.
Well, I'll tell you this, Ginger. See, I was looking forward to this, and I'm glad I seen it. Listen, I don't hate the
Yeah,
film.
you really sound like you're overjoyed.
But okay, so again, I'm not watching this movie again. I've seen it. I'm done. I'm over it. But I didn't look I didn't look anything up on the movie beforehand. I
Wow.
watched it, and as I was watching it, I'm expecting a Dress to Kill type movie. So this is an American
Why would
Giallo.
you be expecting a Dress to Kill type movie?
Because it was so talked up by not you, but just everywhere I seen things. It's like, oh, Eyes of Laura Mars.
But you can't compare anything to Dress to Kill. That movie is
hell no.
perfection.
Hell no. I was watching this film and I was going Dress to Kill. I was even thinking Blowout. Listen, it's just nothing gets close to what Brian De Palma did. But
for what it was, though, like,
listen,
this was this was the first, and you still can't answer my question, but to me, as far as I know, this is like the first American Giallo movie, and it's a classic.
Well, no, watch Clute. No, I'm going to put Clute on our one of the movies that we're going to be doing maybe next week or something like that. Somewhere around Halloween. I mean, Thanksgiving. Woo-hoo. No, I'm joking.
Are you going to do it the day that I'm not going to be here?
Yeah, maybe that'll be the day I do it. No.
See how you are. You stink.
Well, you're not going to be here one day. It'll be November.
The day before Thanksgiving.
The day before Thanksgiving. So we won't have a show, or I'll come on and do something totally different.
Just take the night off.
Or yeah, I might do that. It's Thanksgiving, even whatever. But as I was
you don't
watching,
know how upset I would be if I came back and found out that a show that didn't include me got better looks than ones that I'm in.
Oh shush! Listen, so I was watching the movie, and I'm watching it, and I'm going just like what you just said just now. I'm like going, what's with the acting? What's with the sets? What's with the shoots?
The sets? I thought the sets were groovy.
I know, but they didn't use their money for sets or anything like that. They used It
They
was
used their
originally.
money for that 4-day shoot at Columbus Circle. Can you imagine how much that must have cost?
Oh, I bet.
It
Yeah,
took them
yeah,
4 days to shoot that scene in the middle of New York City. Can you that the budget for this movie was 7 million? Probably
yeah.
5 million of it was just for those 4 days that they shot in Columbus Circle.
Oh God. Listen, it was originally supposed to be in LA when John Carpenter had the
In
script
LA
and
or San
every
Francisco?
LA. It was
Oh,
supposed to
okay.
be LA,
Okay.
and they ended up in the end changing it to New York because, you know, it was gritty and it's everything that they were looking for in this type of a
Yeah.
movie.
The whole thing
Hell,
at the docks, down on the docks and the waterfront and
yeah.
stuff, the
Listen,
loft space that she was in right there on the docks. That's
yeah.
I bet
New
you that
York
right
was
now is
crumbling.
so gorgeous. Yeah. I
Yeah,
bet
New
it's
York
so
was
gorgeous
crumbling
now.
in the mid 70s, early to
Mhm.
mid 70s
Yep.
through the late 70s. It just was crumbling. They were the murder capital of the world. I mean, it just was not a good place to be. So, if you wanted, and that's why when you look back on a lot of these movies and you see the grittiness of New York and what I mean, there's just that's part of Americana now. I mean,
It is.
it's a bad side of Americana,
That whole red
but
light district thing, you don't see that kind of
yeah.
thing anymore.
Well, in the murders, just the population, the homeless, everybody just crunched up in that city. I mean, they
Mhm.
still are, but listen, they cleaned it up big time, and it's become more of a place you can go to safely.
Mhm.
Hell, they
It's
even
been gentrified.
yes, they even back in the days they sent out flyers to people who were coming here just to hey, make sure you're indoors at 6 p.m. What you don't want to get killed here is what they're saying, so you could come visit New York, but don't get killed. Get indoors after 6 p.m., but yeah, so anyways,
We
there's
haven't talked about the movie at
I
all.
know 20 minutes in and we haven't talked about the movie, but we can start talking about it.
Okay,
Listen,
let's talk about the opening scene. It was very tense.
and it was changed at the last minute because Irvin Kershner did not like the original opening, of course, because everything kept getting changed, changed, changed. But he ended up making it what he did, which was go ahead, Ginger, that opening scene.
Um,
It was
it was a
the
giallo.
book
I
cover.
said it looked like a giallo. It opened like a giallo because it was the point of view of someone's watching, like a voyeur.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the very opening of the movie where Barbara Streisand's song comes on, "Prisoner,"
Oh,
and
yes.
the book, the close up of the book comes
Well, you
in,
don't
and
know
you
that
can
it's a book at first. You just see these
right. You
eyes.
just see the eyes of Laura Mars, and it kind of coincided with. Listen, the movie was made for $7 million. Then John Peters took another 7 million for advertising and everything else, and there was even a billboard smack dab in the middle of New York
Of those
where
eyes.
over a week they kept like painting it and lightening it more until finally opening day you could see it's the eyes of Laura Mars, who was
Mm.
Faye Dunaway. So it was interesting, but it didn't really help, I don't think, in any way, because it
I
still
don't
kind of
think
was a
America
bomb,
was
but
ready for this movie at that time. I don't think,
could
and
be, I
some
don't
of
know.
us still aren't ready for it, apparently. The movie wasn't
But
terrible. It wasn't
no,
that
no,
bad.
it wasn't terrible, but it's in the classification of movies that I'm like, okay, and now I'll never see it again.
Same
Like
with the
there's
last three that you picked. Uh,
I'll never watch those either again.
Me neither.
But I've seen them and I'm glad I did. So I have, the perspective of what different directors think and the way
And
things
so do
were
I. God help me.
for for certain giallo films and stuff like that. So that book, it gets a close up and it's got kind of like a little paper off of the paper cover. Remember hard covers,
I
where
do.
the eye is, and we go into a whole thing, Ginger, about this psychic like thing where through the eyes of Laura Mars,
She
she
starts
gets a
seeing visions.
well, she's at first she gets visions, then she actually gets blindness to where
Let me tell
she
you
don't.
something.
Yes,
that
please.
just came to me. And
Oh,
anyone who has seen this movie,
my.
I'm just interested in what you think.
Yeah.
Think of this movie almost as like a Highlander type of concept because
Yeah.
yeah,
I love
it
that,
all looked
Dennis.
like an alley, all of it. You're right.
I
It
was in New
all
York
looked like
City
an
in
alley.
1978. It looked like an alley.
All of it, you're right, it did.
That's so funny.
But think of a movie like Highlander where to me, I get the impression that they've been psychically connected for a long time and they didn't know it. And it's like something's drawing them together, like, what do they call it? The
Yeah, it's
gathering. Like,
yeah.
do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah, no,
because
it's certainly if
hold
you
on, there's
if
a
you
plane flying extremely low.
oh my God, hopefully it don't hit the apartment complex
I
there.
live like 2
Um,
miles from the airport, and I mean, when it's cloudy, the planes are really low, and that one was I was like, But
Terrence
anyway, do you
says,
see what I'm saying?
yeah, no, listen, real quick,
You
Terrence says the viewing of the murders through the eyes was very well done. And uh, there are some good things in this movie. Yes. Yes, they do that very well, but who can't put a foggy look to a lens and have somebody
Okay, but
chasing someone
about
and kill them?
the fact that the more
I
you
can
go
do that
on
right
in
now,
this, yes,
Ginger.
you could. I know you
I'm
could.
going to do
You're a
that.
master filmmaker,
I'm going to
and
do that.
your kids
Through
are
the
going to help
eyes
you
of
out.
Dino,
Your
yes,
kids are going to help you out, right?
they are. And I am, yes, I'm going to call it The Eyes of Dino Mars.
Okay, that sucks. You got to work on that
I
title.
know that was
You got to
terrible. That was
workshop that,
terrible.
baby.
Yeah, I know that sucked. Anyways, yes, no, I agree with you. We're trying not to give away the killer. I mean,
Okay, I'm just
but
trying to like put some
I,
respect on this movie, man.
yeah,
Because
well,
it's not terrible. You're making
I'm
fun of
not
it like it's a
disrespecting
joke,
it.
and it's not a joke.
I'm not disrespecting it. I'm just,
Dissing this movie.
it just wasn't all that I thought it would be.
Like the last
And the
three that you
performances
picked.
were lackluster.
They were. They were.
The writing was a bit lackluster for a reason, you have to admit.
And Dina, what
But
do
I
I
think
say time after time? When you see the time of one of these movies is an hour and 44 minutes,
yeah,
that's too long.
right.
It's too long, and you know the
I
movie's going
think
to drag.
oh, Dino, don't make her cry. Listen, Ginger's a big girl. She's fine. Are you
In
fine,
more
Ginger?
ways than one.
Yeah. Listen. Yeah, she's fine. We gotta have a discussion like this, right, Ginger? This is all good.
It's all good, baby.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, what was I saying now? You threw me off.
I was saying that it's kind of like the Highlander, and you're dissing it, and you're like, I'm not dissing it, and you are.
Oh no, this was what I was going to say. So just erase everything she just said there.
Erased.
um, I think this movie has way more nostalgic of a nostalgic
Yes.
feel for
For
you,
me,
and I
yes,
I
absolutely.
think
You're
that's
right.
why you love it as much as you do.
Because that was my time. At the time that this movie was
Right.
coming out, I was just learning about like fashion and
Fashion,
photography, and
turn to
I
the
didn't
left.
grow up getting like magazines like
Fashion,
most kids got.
turn to the right. Yeah, no, I hear you, lady.
So, yeah, and the
Um,
music, like I said, I used to roller skate to that music when I was probably like
oh God,
8,
but there's
9.
way I mean, there wasn't that much music in this film.
There wasn't, but all of it is from when I was a little kid.
Right, right. I
Back when
mean,
there was only AM radio. We didn't even know what FM was. It didn't
at key
exist.
moments, there were some good tunes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm just
So,
saying, yeah. It's not like it was like a soundtrack revolved around a movie. It was just a movie with
the
some good song,
soundtrack
a
was
couple good songs
important,
in it.
though. The soundtrack was important.
It was.
Stop
It's always
pooping on
important.
my movie.
But
But you're right. It's definitely the nostalgia thing. Absolutely. But so was
yeah, yeah.
Blowout, and Blowout didn't completely suck.
Well, listen, Blowout was a masterpiece of
Yes, it
filmmaking
absolutely
done by
was.
a masterpiece filmmaker.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah. So we've got this Laura Mars lady,
She
Faye
has this
Dunaway,
terrible vision and she wakes up in this posh New
and
York
somehow she's
penthouse
just not as
apartment.
sexy as I thought she was.
She was a little older than I would have thought, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
it's just
You know that
I
she
don't
was
know.
actually 6 years older than Tommy Lee Jones when they did this movie? She was 6 years
Yeah.
older than him, but he looks like he never was younger than 50
Oh no, yeah. He came right out of his mother's womb at 50 years old.
with
So
a
yeah.
pockmarked complexion and
Listen, the poor guy.
he was
Listen,
sexy
he
in
was a
this though.
collegiate football player, man. I mean,
Mhm.
the dude, he leaped
You know,
over
there
a
was something creepy about him right off the bat for me, but maybe it's because I already knew, but like he always was kind of like icky, like something about him.
you mean in the movie?
Yes, in the
Are you giving
movie.
he's creepy. We'll just say that.
He wasn't always though. I think in the beginning it seemed like he was just being a really good cop. He was a really good cop.
Well, I wonder at what point they decided to change the ending. But anyways, let's leave that. Even though you kind of gave something away. Hey, Trogdor, what's going on? What's
Well, we
going on?
already know you hate the movie, so there's that.
I don't hate the movie. And it'll show by my score out of 10 at the end.
That
I
it
hated the
will.
70s. CM, listen, I'm nostalgic for the 70s. Listen, I was a kid in the 70s. So I was a very little kid, but I think
Littler
my
than
parents,
me. I'm older than
because
you.
their parents were born poor, let me just say that it reflected even through the 80s kind of a 70s look. Do you understand what I'm saying? When a family lives poor in the 70s and continues that same lifestyle, furniture, music playing, even though it's the 80s for me, it felt like the 70s because they didn't change a damn thing. There were the corduroy couches that were from the 70s
The
and
shag
everything.
carpet, the paneling on the
Oh,
walls.
listen, everything. The house, it's just that's the way they were. There were 13. My grandma had 13 kids, and they all passed down furniture to each other. So some of that stuff was from the 60s.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of why the nostalgia of the 70s for me. There's something to it. But I'm an 80s kid, and I love everything 80s.
I do
And
too, but I still feel a little bit for the late 70s because I remember the late 70s.
yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you.
But the 80s was
Definitely.
absolutely the best time to be a teenager. There was no better time to be a teenager than the 80s. There just
Listen,
wasn't.
the malls. I mean, alone. If the kids,
MTV,
MTV, the malls, the music, just the
video
parties.
games.
Listen, yeah, I keep throwing out malls because listen, I lived at the mall with my
Oh,
friend,
absolutely. The mall was
and when having the
Friday
mall
night.
packed,
Friday night at the mall. Are you kidding
you
me?
can't do that now.
Mm-mm.
There's a mall here, and it's one of the bigger ones in the country
Is
now.
it dead? Because most malls are dead.
Yeah.
It's dead.
Well, they come on Black Friday. But anyways, and then you can't even move in the mall. Oh my God, I'm breathing everybody's breath in right now, and this place is open air at about 100 feet up. But anyways, let's continue on with this movie. Bologna and cheese, blue chip stamps furnishings. What the hell?
Green
That
stamps.
was
Remember S&H green stamps?
yes, that was 60s, early 70s. Did it
That
go
was
through the late
70s,
70s?
definitely. I remember licking those stamps and sticking them in the book and looking at the catalog to see what you could get. I remember that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Oh
old,
my
man.
God.
I keep telling you I'm old.
Hey Frank McCloud, what's going on? Okay, so I'll let you unencumbered start talking about this movie
Good,
now.
because I'm feeling cumbered.
Are you? Yeah, so we need to
Cumbersome.
uncumbered. Yes.
Okay.
So
It's a very tense scene. It's a point of view of a killer. He's walking into an apartment, a nice apartment. he walks over to a table and there's a book on the table and it's Eyes of Laura Mars, and he opens it and he goes to the picture of a woman and he cuts the picture out, and that's the woman whose apartment he's in. So why does he rip the picture out? We don't know. They never address that.
Table and chairs, table and chairs. That was a great Christmas song. You remember that?
No.
Listen, I think that was she went over there though, because at first she woke in the beginning of the movie, she woke up from a nightmare. So at first I guess they were just visions, or not visions even, they were nightmares. At the very first, she
Is
woke
that not
up.
another element of a Giallo movie where you're not sure what's real and what's a dream?
Yes. It's a Giallo. Yes. Giallo.
I was listening to this reviewer today and he kept calling it Giallo, and I was like, it's not Giallo.
Listen, there's some people who call it jelly too, and I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
what the frick is wrong?
And it was
Why
two
it's not
reviewers
a
talking
jelly?
to each other, and they were both calling it Giallo. Like they each approved of it pronouncing it Giallo, and it was driving me out of my mind.
Well, 90% of the people understand that it's called Giallo, and it's not Gialli. It's not jelly. It's a Giallo film. So, anyways, continue.
I don't know.
So,
You were
yeah, I
talking
mean,
about
we
she
could
woke up
quickly-
and we didn't know she was apparently having a nightmare, and she gets up and
What
see
was the
that
nightmare about, Ginger?
I don't know, somebody getting murdered or stalked or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she was sleeping while she was sleeping while somebody came into her apartment through the eye point of view, and they came to
I
her.
never put that together.
They came to her book. So yes, starts out at the beginning, and they kind
But
of.
no, well, yeah, I just said that. I just said that.
Yeah,
I just said that.
The killer was in her apartment and cut out that
Yes.
picture, and then she wakes up. She wakes up and she goes and gets the. You said all of that? What's going
Yes.
on? Your cat meowing again or something? Is your cat in heat? Did you fix it? Did you get your cat fixed?
Those are very personal questions. My God.
No, that's not a personal. You need to get your cat fixed if it ain't.
She's fixed.
Okay, you know what
She's the first
punishment?
female cat I ever had, and I had never seen a cat go through heat before. And I was like, oh, no, we're
No,
not doing
oh yeah. No, listen,
We're not doing that.
We'll get to the movie, but this needs to be said. One of the worst things that scarred me growing up was seeing a female cat in heat. I don't ever want to see that again. It's disturbing. The sound is awful.
Their behavior. Their behavior's my goodness.
Behavior. Yeah. Popping up the bed. Listen, let's move on. Yes,
it's offensive.
So
I was getting the vapors. I was like, oh no.
That's a horror movie. You need to have a horror movie about cats.
And also,
heat.
if you're a responsible cat owner, just get your cat fixed. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Listen,
Just
it's punishment on the animal itself.
That's right.
Going through that is a terrible
and you're
thing,
making just more cats to be out abandoned, just get the animal fixed,
The American Giallo film.
In the
That cat's in
arms of
heat.
an angel.
Through the eyes of the cat in heat. I'm going to make it. Yeah, there you go. That's a good short film. Through the eyes of a cat in heat.
What's the movie that you and your kids are working on? What's that going to be about?
A
Can you tell us?
Giallo. It's a slasher similar to. It's a Giallo type.
Who's writing the script? Who's writing the script? You.
Of course.
You're going to control everything, and the kids are just going to be along for the ride, right?
Listen, I'm a one man everything.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm like
a control freak. A control freak is what it's called.
Well, no.
Yes,
but
yes.
When it comes to art and your work, I want to be involved in everything, and listen. It's not like I won't take. Hey, you got something to say? Let me know. What do you think? You know what I mean?
That's true. You do. You will.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
That's right.
But they will be helping me. And,
that's how we ended up with Eyes of Laura Mars, because you let me pick a movie.
And I've got some great shot locations, which are going to be superb.
And around Cleveland?
Superb. Oh gosh, listen.
Woo!
There's There's some good places. Listen, yeah,
I bet there are.
you guys,
And
you
you're
guys would
from
think.
there, so you know all the places.
Leaking cats. Okay. Oh my God. Continue on. Continue on, Ginger. Please get
Whew.
my head out of this nightmare I'm in. Okay. So
You
she
asked, see, this is on you. You asked.
she
This is
started
all
out.
on you.
You know, cat doesn't, heat of the cat doesn't sound like a brat because it's all where you're at. What the hell? Everybody's going talking about cats. Okay. So only
So then
time
we
I
go,
hated
there's
more
this
than
big
the other.
event. He stabs the woman. He stabs this woman with an ice pick. Because, of course, an ice pick. Like, people just have ice picks.
And that's a form of the, I can see some inspiration from earlier Giallos, the ice pick, the in the eye, especially.
Yes.
But there wasn't really any blood in this movie,
No, and
really.
I believe that I also read that the director of this movie was an admirer of Dario Argento, the eye guy himself.
Yeah.
And he
Well,
admitted that he got a lot of his inspiration from watching Dario Argento movies.
again, whatever Irvin Kershner would put in the film, because he wanted to take it in a different direction. That's why there were so many different changes. He wanted it more to be more of a suspense thriller type movie, and focus a little bit more on at first the romance part, and then it ended up being more of what it became. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was really all over the place, anyways. And CM, you said the only time I hated more than the '80s is the '90s. You hated the '80s? What decade you grow up in?
I didn't even hate the 90s. I didn't really hate the 90s. 90s gave us some fantastic R&B, some fantastic alternative stuff.
If you say so. So where are we at in the movie?
We are wherever you would like us to be, because just wherever you want us to be.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of killings going on.
So
She's
there's
trying to
this
do.
opening.
We're
She's having it.
introduced. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you
Go
want
on,
me to
Jim.
do it, or are you going to do it?
Yes, no, I'm shutting the hell up, man.
You did. I believe the word was unencumbered, you said?
Yes,
Did that already
exactly.
expire? Is the unencumbered part
No,
expired?
you go ahead. I need to stop.
Because,
Go ahead.
wow. There's an opening. It's one of those New York things that they do. It's at the Met or whatever, and paparazzi's there and the press is there, and it's about this photographer named Laura Mars. And she's having an exhibition of her latest photographs that are extremely controversial because they're very violent. There's a lot of nudity. There's animalistic elements. There's all kinds of horrible things, like a Giallo movie. Morality. Aren't Giallo movies always about morality?
Well,
They're so chaotic. That's me and Dino. We are chaotic.
well, listen, it is what it is. You have to have. Cisco and Ebert made a great show because they both lambasted each other. Did I say lamb-asted? Anyways,
Well, now you did, yeah. Congrats.
but the pictures were supposed to represent, and we're talking in real life, John Peters, who was involved with the fashion side of things and all that was bad about the business back in the day. And
The truth
Irvin
of it.
Kershner also added the evil side, in his opinion, of the way they were treating women at the time, even, through a lot of the, the R-rated or whatever you want to call it during the time, whether it be art, magazines, film, whatever. So that's what they tried to do, is incorporate all of that evilness into the art of photography. And this is what Laura Mars became famous for and popular. And they were saying paintings are out, pictures are in, they show real life. And just like anything on Vogue, it really was a thing during the '80s, where photographs were a big deal, and it
Oh,
became
I used to buy
yeah.
Glamour magazine and Vogue magazine, and my walls were plastered with pictures of women in gorgeous dresses and all the latest models. I had my favorite models. I would have their pictures up everywhere. I ran out of wall hanging up
Oh,
pictures
gee.
from those Vogue
Well,
magazines.
that's what was cool about the 80s. And I'll just say hello, Justin Cordero.
Hi,
And
Justin.
everybody keep an eye on Cali Cat, because I think that's a bunch of bull. Stating, hi, is the movie over or are we on an intermission? I'm not even going to respond to that, but I did
You can
put you
stick
up on
around
the
and find
screen.
out or not.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Choice is yours.
Should I be evil again and say, listen, the title says it all. If you're looking for a movie on here, go look for the movie. But when it says a movie discussion or review, it's going to be a movie discussion or review. Yeah, there's no movies on this channel. But if you're the real deal, hello, Cali Cat. If you're not,
Welcome.
yes. Anyways, thanks, Rich Cat Ranch. So yes, that's kind of what that was all about. And yes, I cut out pictures of my favorite artists and stuff, and glued
Artists,
them
wink,
to a
wink. Artists,
glued them to the.
wink.
Hey, my parents wouldn't let me have nudie
Yeah, mine wouldn't
stuff
either.
up on the wall. I'm so sorry. I thought it was a stream. Yeah, never here. Bernie Gambano, he says, I'm still here. Good to see you, Bernie. I'm
Thanks
so
for checking
glad.
in. Thanks for checking
Yeah,
in. That's
listen,
great.
I love the updates. Just let us know what you're doing. Let us know what you're doing through the through
We'll
through
check
the
back in 15 minutes, I guess.
yeah. Let me know if you're still around at 15,
Hey,
and
Dino, we'll meet at J.C. Penney's in an hour. How about that?
Cali Cat. I don't
Everybody
mean to
back at
upset.
J.C. Penney's in an hour.
Well, listen, let me hit the Cali Cat says, I didn't mean to upset anyone. I love all these shows. Do you mean all the ones that we do here? Because that kind of contradicts you saying, and I'm making a bigger thing out of this than it is, but you
As
came in
you
and said,
do.
where's the movie? So if you're saying you love all the shows, you didn't mean to upset anybody. What do you mean? You would know that this is just a discussion on the movie. Anyways, I'm making too big a deal out of it. Let's forget about it.
You're
Cali
making
Cat,
too big a
welcome.
deal, Dino.
It's haha, really missed this channel. Hey, Bernie Gamano, I'm so glad you're here. That's for sure. And let's continue.
Alrighty.
I love when our shows half of the streams has nothing to do with the movie itself. I love that.
There's a little guy in this movie. There's a little guy. Inexplicably, there's a little person in this movie.
But he shows up twice. Once in the art exhibition.
And you can tell that him and Laura are close. She holds his hand. You can tell that they're friends.
He doesn't say a word though. He just puts his hand on the shoulder, and then he's at
he's at the exhibition, isn't he? Or is he?
Oh geez, I'm belching.
We do see him a second time though, and then it's like he just disappears.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's about. He's a friend of
Laura.
John Peters. John Peters did his hair for many years.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I like the talks and the streams, especially about anything horror. Awesome. Well, you get that here, man. Plenty of it. Tell you that much. Yepers.
You've come to the right place, lad.
Yeah, especially Giallo films, because I believe we'll be doing this for about a year. But anyways, look, Ginger's going, yay! Wait a second.
Oh boy, really?
Oh Lord.
Do you mean it?
Yes. Anyways, so yeah, listen, we can get through this.
They do a song. It's like, we can do this. We can
get through this movie. I know we can.
They play Casey and the
Tables and
Sunshine Band,
chairs.
Shake Your Booty, and they play
Oh,
Native
listen,
New Yorker, which is one of my, when I was a kid, tell me
Yeah.
if this sounds right to you.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I grew up just outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. At
Okay.
night,
Yes.
when FM radio first became a thing, at night we could pick up FM radio stations in New York City. Does that make
Yeah.
sense to you?
Yes, because the
And those stations, you
frequencies-
couldn't hear them during the day. You could only get them at night.
Yes, the radio signals go a lot further during the night on clear skies. Anyways, yes.
Okay, well
Especially
that's
AM stations. AM
yes.
stations would do that because it's at a
Maybe it was an
lower,
AM station then.
longer frequency. But
But yeah,
anyways,
it had to be late at night, and I would all these songs, "Native New Yorker" by Odyssey. There's a song they play by Heatwave. "Boogie Nights" they play by Heatwave. I mean, I used to
Boogie
roller
nights,
skate to that stuff when I
boogie
was
nights,
a kid.
with the celebration,
Oh my God,
boogie nights.
no! Stop!
Oh, is
I'm
that
gonna
not the
take this
word?
thing out of my ear.
Okay, come on. Oh no, don't do it, Bernie. Oh no. Oh no. He says, because of you two, I'm going to watch this tomorrow after work as a first watch. Very much looking forward to it.
And then you
Yeah,
know what
no,
you do, Bernie? This is what
yeah.
you do, Bernie. This is what you do.
Boogie nights.
After you watch this movie, you give your opinion. You go down in the comment section on this here video, come back and look for it, and then you tell us what you thought about this movie. Anything you'd like to tell us about your impressions of this movie at all, leave it in the
Yeah.
comment section, and we will answer, don't we, Dina? We answer right
Yeah,
away.
of course we do. Yes, you're talking to the wind, though. It's blowing in the wind. But Bernie, yeah, let us know because I'd like to know what you think. You can come back and go, yeah, Dino, you were right. It
He
kind
won't
of was
say that.
all
He'll
over
say
the place.
Ginger
It
was
was
right.
crazy.
He'll say Ginger
But
was
it,
right.
but it was an all right movie. So listen, if you give this a 8 or 9 out of 10,
I will not be giving it an 8 or a 9.
okay, let's continue.
I'll be
then.
giving it a 10. No.
Hey, CJM753BC. Good to see you. Overnight tonight, I put a collection of some good CBS Radio Mystery Theater shows because it is pre-Halloween and they give a little bit of an air of mystery and that horror element. So hopefully you guys enjoy that tonight. I know everybody wasn't a big fan of Shandu the Magician, but listen, the music got to me too. But
these are things that Dino does because he wants it archived. He puts this stuff together and then it's
yeah,
here. And the wonderful thing about it is this is content that it's really hard to find. And so when people
and
think of something, they're
yes,
going to look and find Dino's stuff.
and there's already a couple people that said, "Oh man, thanks for this. I love Shandu the Magician." Edward
I
Stewart
love you,
loved it.
man.
It reminds him of his pops, man. So I played that for him. So and again to archive it. There's some very interesting shows and streams that are going to be coming up. I'm actually fixing the audio on some rare shows that aren't on anything but need to be, and they're just so bad. I'm working on
And now
Flash
they will
Gordon.
be.
And I'm working on Flash Gordon because a lot of them are crappy audio and I'm fixing them up. So anyways, let's continue.
And that kind of thing takes time.
Oh gosh, does
And
it?
it's not inexpensive either.
No, AJ Star Hiker, hello. I'm partial to Puma Man. Okay, so yeah, she's seeing killers.
When she has this art exhibition, this guy comes up to her and he's like, this is really bad. Like, this is what passes for art these days. It's violent. It sexualizes women. It's disgusting. And he doesn't know that he's talking. Well, we think he doesn't know he's talking to the artist herself.
Yeah.
And then later on, she's at the police station, and who shows up but the gentleman that was knocking about her art? He turns out to be a police officer.
Yeah, a little foreshadowing. And listen, he throughout the movie, he keeps telling her who the killer probably is, somebody who does not like this violence.
Yes.
These images of women and the way they're portrayed. Everything a serial killer or somewhat would say. He's
and you're right, he says it more than once.
Oh, like 3 or 4 times throughout the movie. So making a point on purpose, I guess, that they wrote it into the script. So, but again,
yeah, because they kind of try to point you towards Tommy the driver, but you can see he's a good guy. He did time, and we know he did time and stuff like that, but he's a better person now. And
yeah, Brad Dourif, when they're on purpose, they're pushing a character as a bad person.
Yeah,
that's just that's, you know right away. No, he's not. So Brad
He's
Dourif
not.
played a great character, had crime trouble, was in prison for a short time
Mhm.
for some
And
bad
then
stuff. Yeah.
there's her ex-husband who's a lunatic. He's a loser. He just
Raul
uses
Julia.
women. He used her and she threw him away. And I think she doesn't know that he's seeing her friend.
No, not at this
Her
point.
ex-husband is seeing her friend, and they make
Yeah.
him, he's real skeevy.
Oh, he's skeevy. He's a drunk who leeches off, was leeching off of her, and is now leeching off this other woman. So and they don't listen. Raul Julia, his role, it plays a very minuscule role in this movie.
She
Enough.
offers him $50. He comes to bother her because he still
Yeah.
has a spare key to her apartment. And so they plant that in your head. Well, he has a key to her apartment and he
Yeah.
won't give it back to her. And she offers him $50 to go away. And it's just like,
Yeah.
ew, it's so icky.
I think he was just thrown in there as just
A
another,
red
maybe
herring?
another tiny red herring, because not at all did
You
I
didn't have
think,
to say tiny.
because he's,
You didn't have to say tiny. He's still a red herring. A red herring is a red herring.
listen,
Stop moving on my movie.
there's degrees of red herrings. There's degrees
Is
of
there?
everything in this world. There's lows, there's highs, there's middle, there's,
It's either a red herring or it isn't.
oh no, there's degrees. Listen, lady, when a guy's going around the entire movie, okay, a character, and from beginning to end, you're going, oh my God, I wonder if he's the red herring. Oh, they keep showing him like killing her. What's going on? That's a big red herring. When throughout the movie, you see this guy at the beginning and he's there for like a minute and you go, well, maybe. And then he shows up mid for 2 minutes. That's a little
So
red
you
herring.
don't know at the end of the movie he could turn out to be the guy.
Well, right. But it's still a little red herring that could have possibly been the killer. Right? Amen.
I'm
sister.
trying not to crank it up. I'm trying so hard not to crank it up. I'm trying. Get back down there.
So,
That's
what I
what she
listen,
said.
what I did love about this was when they were all getting ready for the shoot, and you see all the models in the trailer, and they're fixing their hairs, and they're getting all undressed and stuff, and that was a good part of the movie.
There's a lot of that. Yes, there's a lot of that. Like a Giallo movie, a bunch of naked women, just like a Giallo movie.
Man, and when those two poor models get it in the end, oh, such a shame. It doesn't matter. Listen, we're an hour into this, Ginger. Where the hell is this going? How about you talk about the middle of the movie here? Let's get through like kind of the middle of this movie here. Go for it. I know you took notes, copious notes.
Yes, I did.
Copious notes, table and chairs. If only this were really water.
So she keeps having these visions, and every time she has a vision, somebody turns up dead, and it's someone she knows. It's someone she's worked with. It's someone who's in that book she put together of whatever, fashion photographs or whatever. I don't know.
Sorry, I just gasped. You reading your notes?
Yes.
You can't take listen.
So then they try to create this chemistry. Shut up. They try to create this
rule
chemistry.
Rule number one is you can't have dead air. Continue.
You start to see that Tommy Lee Jones and Faye Dunaway are kind of digging each other. Like they almost kiss, and you're like, oh, what? Because there's no chemistry. But anyway.
Well, yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones questions all the models, and then she sees him. He kills the two models. They live together, Michelle and Lulu, or Lala, or Lily, or Lolo, or whatever. Lulu. Her name was Lulu. Darlene Flugel.
I love that name, Lulu.
So then Tommy Lee Jones gets her away from the funeral. They had a funeral for both the girls, and Tommy Lee Jones gets her away from the funeral, and she says, do we have to go back to the city already? And he's like, no. So then they're walking through a field together, and it's like a romantic moment, and you're like, what the hell is going on right now? What is this?
one of those moments where I was watching the film going, what the frick is this?
Yes.
What the hell are you doing?
And
I
she's like,
get that you're
I
trying
can't stop thinking about you. And he's like, I can't stop thinking about you. And it's so corny.
to.
And so they end up in the sack,
And
of
well, you
course.
remember that scene too. Well, no, okay. Well, Tommy Lee Jones wrote a couple of his monologues. That was kind of off the whim in the park, and they just filmed it. And he said what he want. They did what they wanted there. They're just like,
It
okay,
was
shoot.
terrible. It was terrible.
And it shows because, yeah, like you said, it was a terrible scene. And it was a moment where I said, what? And it's these moments like that throughout this movie that
Yes,
it's
I
like you
understand.
could have put a little bit more effort into this. Listen, Irvin Kershner's a senior director. He went on to do Empire Strikes Back right after this. He really is good at what he does.
But
But
we have to keep going back to the material that they were working from.
no, I know he did the best he can. Continue, Ginger. Oh man, I'm
So,
tired.
after they end up in the sack,
Ooh,
I think at her industrial space down there on the waterfront, he
yeah.
hands her his pearl-handled revolver because that's what New York City cops carried around, I guess, in the 70s, pearl-handled revolvers. And he says, if
Yeah.
you need to use it, use it. He shows her how to look through the sight and aim and everything. And he's like, if you need to use it, use it.
Which kind of throws you,
Foreshadowing.
well, which kind of throws you off though a bit because, anyways, yeah, I'm not going to give away the ending yet. I mean, I think most of everybody probably can figure it out, but
So then they have that scene where the she goes to the birthday party for Rene Auberjonois,
yeah,
and she
Odo,
says, I have to go. Somebody called. I have to go. It's her ex-husband, I think. I have to go to
yeah,
him. He needs me. So that they switch. He wears her clothes and he's 6 feet tall and wearing heels that just happen to be the size he needs.
yeah,
And she dresses
and
up like
that's,
him.
and I give you that too. That's
That's a
kind of
Giallo thing.
that's kind of a Giallo thing, mixing up of
But the
genders and
sexiest part of all is
throwing-
when she walks out and she walks over and the car that she's going to drive is an AMC Pacer. Sexiest car ever made. I was like, is that a Gremlin? No, it was a Pacer.
It
AMC
looked-
made the ugliest cars.
And you know what? Some of those ugliest cars ever are so collectible
Yeah.
that it's not even funny. Like I looked at that car and said, damn, I would love to have that car and drive around in it right now. But anyways,
I dated a guy who had a neon green Gremlin.
Oh geez.
And
The
I
last
only went
time
out
I
with him
seen
because I wanted to drive it.
oh gosh. Last time I seen a gremlin was sometime in the 80s, I think. Yeah, when I was a kid. But anyways,
Anyway,
yeah,
so
continue.
that's to throw the cops off. So she goes back. She goes back to her. Where does she go? I don't know. Oh, when she goes to her space and she sees another vision, and it's her agent Donald Rene Auberjonois, and she runs down this long. It's like an airplane hangar, screaming, "Donald!" I'm like, what is going on here? What is this?
It's a fantastic film. Yeah.
Very bad. It was very bad.
Again,
so
the POV shots, I did really enjoy those. Like when she did freak out because she's seeing the vision of the killer coming, especially in that warehouse area, where, oh my God, they're coming after her. And he's following in her footsteps where they're coming next, which was very weird. Because when you look back on it, you're like, okay, was he there at that time? What's going on? But it was very cool.
She's seeing what he sees. She's not seeing in front of herself. She's seeing what he sees. So it's from behind her.
Yeah. So I mean, it was very cool. It was very cool. And there was even a scene where she brings him up to show him how she sees, you know.
Yeah.
She says, here's the video camera. There's the monitor. And she goes and stands in front of the video camera and she says, look at the monitor. This is how I see my vision.
I don't see this. I see this.
Yeah. And
I guess, we get that.
I guess it's an interesting way of saying, hey, listen.
They spent way too much time on that.
Yeah, I can't. You know what? I gotta watch again. You've Got Mail. That's another romantic. I love that. All the way across the country, and then they're so
So she's
close.
back in her
Oh,
apartment by herself, and someone's trying to
guys.
get in, and she can see it's the point of view of the killer, so he's coming for her. And she locks her door and locks her door, and all of a sudden, her patio door gets smashed in. And who is it? Who is it, and how did he get
Oh,
over there is
geez,
what I
you
want to know.
jumped. You jumped way to the end. That's
Let's
okay.
do it. Let's do it.
Let's
Let's do it.
do it.
Let's
Yeah,
do
you
it.
jumped right to the end.
Who comes
Um,
crashing through her patio door, and how did he get there?
well, this ending scene is very intense. Like you said, you know, she sees that somebody's coming up through her hallway, and she's kind of bumping into stuff she can't see,
Mhm.
you know, and all that, and
It's like she's blind. All she can see is the vision. She can't actually see what's in her apartment, so she's got to
well, you
crawl
skipped
and.
over a very big part of this movie, though,
Well,
lady,
please do go back, sir.
because before all of this ends, in order for that killer to get up there, something else had to take place. And what ends up happening is Brad Dourif's character,
Oh,
um, Tommy Ludlow, the driver,
they think that he's the killer. They go to
because
his apartment.
because there's an earlier scene where Odo, Donald Phelps, her manager, gets it when he's wearing the women's clothing in the elevator,
Mhm.
and the police find one of his cards that he's always shuffling in his hand
Yeah,
in there underneath the body.
that's
So
correct, sir.
no doubt that Brad Dourif. So we found the killer. So cops, no need to
No more
watch her.
investigating.
Yeah, no more. We're done. We found the killer.
This is the guy
Leave
right
Laura
here.
Mars, all that good stuff. And that's where it allows us to end this movie. And, you know, somebody creeps up, throws a chair through the window. And yes, it's who?
It's John Neville, Detective Neville, Tommy Lee Jones. So
No,
he's the one. It's like the scene in Scream when Billy comes and
don't say it.
visits.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Say anything.
Don't say anything. But don't say goodbye tonight. Okay.
I'm not a Beatles fan, but I love Paul McCartney and Wings. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh, 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 oh. I need to rack my head on something. Metal, cement, or something. Oh, God, Lord Almighty. Get back. Get back to where you want. Oh, there she is. Where did you go?
I don't know, Dino. Where did I go?
I have no idea. You said you didn't like the Beatles.
Tell the people where I went, Dino.
But I love
I went to the
Paul McCartney.
cornfield. He sent
He's
me to the cornfield.
Paul McCartney is the cute one. I like him. Oh,
I don't care what he looks like. He was happily married to the lovely Linda, and it was a beautiful love affair they had. I loved his
You know,
music, and that's
listen,
it.
the Beatles are perhaps one of the most
Oh, please, let's not. Let's
influential
not do that.
artistic bands
Let's not.
ever.
Let's wrap this movie up, and then you can wax about the Beatles.
Okay, so on we go with Tommy Lee Jones is there. He's the killer, and
He's telling her a story, and he's saying like
that he made up
maybe
himself. Tommy Lee Jones wrote it. He gets a credit as a writer on this film because he wrote this dialogue for this ending scene. What a bunch of crap.
what
That's
a
as bad
load
as
of
saying that the
malarkey.
Beatles.
It's malarkey, I tell you.
That's as bad as saying the Beatles stink. What's wrong with
I
you?
didn't say they stink. I said I'm just not a fan. I didn't say they stink.
I'm trying to, CM. CM says for me to stay strong. Stay strong. I'm trying.
Hold
There
your
you go.
ground. Hey,
He
CM,
wasn't a-
what happened to the girl power, CM? I thought we were supposed to stick together. Girl power.
No,
What?
listen, we are all
What?
individuals. Do not bring gender into this. She can stick up for me. On we move.
So he's telling this story, as if
Yeah.
he's talking about someone else. And he's like,
Yeah.
when he was growing up, blah, 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 something about when he was growing up. And then he says, I. And as soon as he says I, I'm like, yep, it's him. It takes her 10
Listen,
minutes to be like, wait a minute, you said I. And he's like, yes, I did. And I was
he
like,
has.
wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
Listen. This was, I think, a lot of people when they got to this point. This is what, if you were saying, okay, it's a pretty good movie. This is where it kind of threw people off. Endings can do that, and they make you go, this is just so stupid.
It's
And then
schlock.
And then when everybody involved with the film says, listen, we didn't even know what we were going to do at the end here. We threw Tommy Lee in as the killer. It all worked out that he can be the killer. Yes, evidently he had some trauma when he was a child. And this is what
And
gets
he
me.
developed a split personality.
Split personality. He was Sybil. Do you guys remember Sybil? Sally
Yes,
Field?
Sybil.
That was a depressing film.
Wasn't a fun book to read either.
Oh, geez. I'm sorry you read it. So
Everybody read it back then.
did they? Well, that was
Yes.
back in the olden days, right?
In the old
So,
before time, in the 20th
yeah, before
century.
time.
In the
Yeah.
20th century, dog.
Jeez.
That's
But
right.
yes, he has a split personality, and all of this going on, I'm just like going, okay, so he's had a career as a police officer for how long? All of a sudden, Laura Mars breaks him and he goes on a killing spree?
Is it because of the book? Because remember, he showed her photographs of actual crime scenes, and then he showed her photographs of her photo shoots with models posed in the same positions as in those crime photos.
But Ginger, he is a lieutenant. He worked his way up the ranks of the police department, seeing terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me that not one incident or crime over all those years did anybody on the force go, listen, this guy's got a few screws loose up there in the attic.
That's true. That's true.
All those screws aren't in the attic. Screws are in mechanical things. So
He was
bats
a
in
good
the
cop,
belfry?
though. I mean, he
Is
was
that-
a good
is that the word?
detective.
Bats in the belfry. That's it.
Yes, that's a belfry. But he was
So-
a good investigator, though. I mean, he
Well,
was a good cop.
yeah. Listen, I guess if you really get down to it, and if I were to argue the other side and debate myself, hey, Dino, listen, there's also another side to this story where in a lot of these kind of people who are who have split personalities and deal with trauma and end up creating violent acts in their
Mhm.
life,
Just to
sometimes and a
cope.
lot of times,
Their brain does that just to cope. They have no control
well,
over
and
it.
they deal with it, even serial killers, throughout their life, and then sometime in their 40s, something could just snap,
Mhm.
and the spree just happens. So I can argue with myself, hey, you know what? That's a pretty good point. I mean, I see where you're coming from. So, if I were to debate myself, there is kind of but listen, I thought it was stupid. The ending was crap. That it blew it for me. But again, overall, the movie was okay. I mean, it is what it is.
He makes her shoot him. He takes that gun.
Oh, yeah.
She has the
Let's
gun
finish
because
that
she
up, yeah.
realizes that he's loopy. And she goes and gets the gun, and he puts it to his stomach, and he says,
and he got a gun.
and he says, and this is what I was telling you at the beginning of the movie.
Aquarium shoes. What the hell?
He says, if this is what he says, this is the key to the whole movie.
Okay.
He makes her put the gun in his stomach, and he says, if you love me, kill him.
So
The
there
end.
is a side of him that does love her, but the evil
But
side.
he's telling her that there's two of him. And he says, if you love me, you'll kill him. Because if you kill him, none of this stuff's going to happen anymore. It'll stop. And he's like, if you love me,
Right.
kill him.
And he shot him.
You're
She
being
shot him.
deliberately dense, Dino.
No, I know. She shot him. Man, what a love story that turned out to be, right?
He made her, though. He wanted her
Jeez,
to.
if we all could only find true love that way. I mean,
Somebody is willing to shoot you in the gut when you tell them to. That's love.
yeah. And the rest of her life. Listen, how I would like to know the rest of the story. How she got the hell out of figuring out how to get out of shooting the
I would like
lieutenant.
to know what John Carpenter's original script was. Did you find it?
Well, no, I mean, listen, he I don't know if it's out there somewhere. It probably is. John Carpenter, would he have thrown it
Or maybe
away?
like even an interview of him just telling you about what his
Well, he
original
just
script was.
John Carpenter pretty much just said. I mean, he pretty much quoted the Halloween kind of movie that he did after.
I know, but
It's about the
I'd still like
faceless
to hear him
killer. He
say
said,
like what his original vision was for it. Don't you think that would make just a little bit interesting? No,
"Yeah,
wow, no.
well, no, listen. Of course, I would like to hear a true in-depth interview with him on what. Listen, the movie's not that important in his career or in anybody else's that he's even been asked this question. Probably.
I'm
I mean,
palpitating.
I know. I'm sorry to do that to you, but
You don't think this movie is important? Not that it's great. It doesn't have to be great, but you don't think it's important? It doesn't have a place?
important in the scheme of what?
American film.
No.
No.
If this film was not made, it it it,
It
it
wouldn't have
would
made a
not
difference
matter.
in the universe.
No, not at
I
all.
disagree. I disagree.
Well, I'd like to know what your reason is behind it having a place in film history.
It was a period piece. It was a slice of
There's a million
Americana.
of them, Ginger, and a million of them that are good. Again, listen, I'm not saying that it was a terrible movie,
I'm
but
still going to watch it again. And you know what?
okay,
I will give you that you already said it's nostalgic for me. It is because I
right.
remember those times. I'm not from New
Mhm.
York, but I'm from Pennsylvania. We used to do bus trips to New York and stuff with my church. Every year we would go to New York City.
Yeah,
Why
come
am I
on,
acting
man.
like I'm intoxicated? I haven't even drank a whole beer yet.
No,
Some of
you're
my
just
first.
upset. We're getting,
Oh,
listen, this
I'm
is
not upset. We
this is what
disagree.
sugar not.
And like I said, I give you that there's definitely the nostalgia aspect, definitely. And for some reason, I thought you might have that same nostalgia for it, but clearly you don't.
No,
Because
not
we are
not.
contemporaries. We're both Gen X.
It's oh God, yeah.
What
It's
do you
not
give it? What
nostalgia.
do you give it out of 10? Tell me. Tell
There's
me.
there's other movies that I go to for nostalgia when it comes to the 70s, and this is not one of them. And I'm never we're gonna go back there again. But again, listen, everybody's. And again, it's not the worst movie. It's okay. Out of 10, I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. So it's again, I don't think it's a terrible film, but it had me at the end of the film going, ah. And listen, there are many okay movies that I just don't. There's very few movies that I rewatch. Once I see a movie, good or not, I'm usually done. Unless it's a very good classic or one that I put in my library and say, I love this so much, I'm going
The
to keep on going
Burbs.
watch.
The
What's that?
Burbs. The Burbs.
The Burbs. There you go. I can watch that 1,000 times.
I have watched it 1,000
Well,
times.
there you go. Yeah. But this
The
one,
Burbs and Jaws.
this one, it has no place in American Giallo history. If anything, it messes it up a little bit for the rest of the American Giallo films that are out
But
there
did you
because
are you saying that you consider Clute to be a Giallo film? Or is it a thriller, a slasher? Do you think Clute is
Clute's
a
considered
Giallo?
Clute's considered a Giallo film, and
More so
we
than this, more so than Eyes of Laura Mars.
I'll tell you this. They included a lot of things that are involved in a lot of Giallo films. But with that said, they also like threw firecrackers in the whole story to just disembody that whole Giallo feel. There was no feel. There was no Giallo feel in this film. You know, just because you put
You're right.
aspects of a subject or a genre in the film does not make it feel like a Giallo film.
It's like trying to shove blueberries into a pie after you already baked it. You're going to try to shove blueberries into the pie. It's like, yeah, but that's not the same.
Yeah, no. I mean, you know, there's who says, somebody said, yes, Clute more so than Laura Mars. Dino nailed it, says Odie Dillon. Oh, there you go.
Well, I'm the one who brought up Clute. I think before we even went on air, I said that this movie made me think of like Clute. So
yeah, we will watch that and talk about that very soon. I think it's time for a visit. Dino, it was the start of the Through the Eyes killer movies. Didn't Peeping Tom have somewhat of a first POV shot, and that was in the 60s? There were other movies. And
even as far back as like the 50s, I think there were point of view like
movies. Yeah.
Maybe not the whole movie and maybe not like long shots, but they would give you that.
Well,
even didn't Psycho have something like that?
There was some, but you knew that it was Norman Bates.
Yeah.
But listen, all through the early 70s, late 60s, a lot of the Giallo films, and even we haven't gotten to the creamy films, but they have POV shots of these killers. So I if you're talking American, no, there are earlier films. But if we go international, we can go decades earlier. Yes, there's always been. It'd be interesting for me to research and go back to when the actual film, first POV type film, because I'm sure there's some in the 30s and 40s too. I can't think of any offhand, but I'm sure that there are. It's not something that just popped out there in the 70s. It's something that people have used for as long as they've held a camera up and said, I'm going to
listen to this, okay? I have one last comment.
Yes, ma'am.
You were saying that the end of this movie pissed you off. You did not like the end of it. You think it was ruined.
Well, it didn't piss me off, but go ahead.
It was disappointing.
Yes.
Okay. But have we not seen a lot? I mean, I've even joked about the end of a lot of these Giallos that we've watched, that they wrap it up so quick. It's like the end of a Three Stooges episode where it's like, we're out of film. We got to wrap this up. And they don't really tie any loose ends together. Like the one we just did.
House with Laughing Windows.
Yeah. When he's on that stupid motorcycle and the sisters see him and everything and they have him. We assume that they kill him. Right. But
yeah,
a lot of the Giallo movies have this sort of like rushed ending that they just threw together because they ran out of money or ran out of film or.
Oh, no. That's just the way Italian cinema was. Like they just, they would abruptly that's the way they shot. That was their style of filmmaking. It's just end. And a lot of it was to leave things open-ended in a lot of the cases so that you would keep talking about it and think about, wait, what's going. So no, this on the other hand was written and filmed knowing that, hey, we're going to wrap this movie up this way, again at the last moment. And again, I've talked to you too about some of those Italian, the ones recently we've done, and I've talked and admitted that some of the early 70s, the Poopy one and some of the other ones, I'm a Giallo fan, but I'm looking at these films and I'm going, well, if these are true early 70s Giallo films, and what they represent, I'm not as big a fan of those films as the late 70s. Listen, I want the horror aspect and element in the Giallo films.
I just can't believe that you say that you don't think this movie has a place
And
in
it didn't
American
come.
film history. I
And
can't
it didn't
believe
come
that.
until the late 70s through the 80s. That's when the horror really was punched in the gut when it came to Giallo films. But listen, no, I have to keep saying, I don't know what more to say except you have to look at it this way. If a movie didn't exist and you still know what it was, right? How important is it going to make a difference on American Giallo films?
I think so. I think so.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, because I don't know why you think
Now
so.
I'm
Because
gonna go in my room and cry.
no, we're supposed to have a discussion. That's what this is all about. If
So
we
what are
don't,
we reviewing next? Oh, you didn't ask me
um,
what I would. You gave it a 6. I was gonna give it a 6.5. So
so we were pretty close. So
we
I
were,
mean,
but I don't. You're acting like the movie was just trash, and it wasn't.
well, listen, it makes for good discussion, right? Anyways,
Yes. So what are we doing next?
so overnight
Oh,
tonight, CBS Radio Mystery Theater. Hopefully, get
tell
you
them
guys
about
enjoy that.
trivia next week.
Yes, and tomorrow night will be the big channel Halloween party. Happy Halloween trivia night.
So all
So
the people who missed the costume party before,
they
when Dino
can if
got
they
to
want.
90,000 subs,
Yes, they can tomorrow night. Come on and enjoy some time hanging out
you
and
can be on
answering some.
camera or you don't have to be on camera.
Right, right, right.
Just like this.
And
It looks just like this.
so hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night. And Tuesday, we have Late Night Coffee Talk with Tracy. Lisa returns, and they're going to talk about folklore and spooky Indiana and urban legends. And then me and Ginger, our next film is, and this was already a while ago, we had this listed. It's going to be The Case of the Bloody Iris. It's a 1972 Giallo film.
Giallo.
And then next week for Saturday for trivia, I'm hitting the silver bullet trivia. So hopefully you're happy there, Ginger. Well, I kept her in suspense long enough.
For a year. I've been waiting a year.
Don't Torture a Duckling was great too. Yeah. No, we're going to be, listen, after the Bloody Iris, I think we're going to hit into some really good ones. I've got Murder Rock, which is a Lucio Fulci from 1984. That looks really good. I've never seen it, but it looks good. Macabre from Lamberto Bava. That's another upcoming. That's from 1980. And then we also got.
Can you tell everyone who wrote the silver bullet trivia that you're going to do Saturday? Who made those questions?
Oh, I thought most people would know, but probably not, I guess. Ginger wrote the questions that I'm going to do for Silver Bullet
And
Trivia.
how long ago? How long ago was that?
Oh, God, probably about 6 months ago. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Wow.
But I said I was going to keep you in suspense, and I was going to keep pushing it, and I did.
I think you were holding on to it until just the right moment.
Well, listen, I was going through a big stretch where I was doing all of the Frankenstein trivias during that period, and I wanted to
tried
hit
the rest, and now you're going to try the best.
Oh gosh, I think the Laughing Man or the Man Who Laughs last night was a great one. I don't know if you could ever top that one, but Homo the dog. Anyways. So good. But yes, Silver Bullet, and then yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. And yeah, don't know what more to say. This one's in the book.
Dino had a blast, as you can tell.
Of course I did. Do you think I didn't? Listen, I love doing these movie discussions. These are entertaining. These are I love doing them. So good or bad.
Denny knows how long I've waited for this moment. RTN, tell him how long I've waited for this moment.
You know how the priest loses eye in Silver Bullet. Save it for trivia night, OD Dillon. Yes, I've seen Silver Bullet at least 3 times. So it's a movie that I love. Come on.
And that kind of thing, spoilers like that, nobody likes that on actual trivia night. We don't like when people just start blurting stuff out.
Yeah, because you might be saying one of the questions, actually. What an uplifting thing, CM Silver Bustier. What the heck?
Bustier.
Bustier, yeah. So yeah, no, this has been fun. Listen,
Yeah, you
Eyes of Laura
sound
Mars.
just so jazzed about it.
Well, again, I didn't waste my time. I'm glad I seen the movie, but
I've
if it
had enough
never
of your attitude
existed.
tonight, sir. Let's end this.
What's up on that wall back there? What is that? A cat poster? A cat
Yeah,
picture? Is it a picture?
it's a painting that a friend of mine did with my 2 cats, and I took it down because I lost my
Oh,
one cat, my orange Tigger,
and you put it back up now
and I
because
had
you
to take
felt.
it down. I couldn't stand to look at it, and so I just finally got to where I could put it back up there on the wall.
Oh, and now it's going to be out there in the interwebs forever. The
Yep,
spirit of the, what was his name?
Tigger.
Tigger. Looks like a Tigger.
He was my sweet, sweet boy.
Jesus Christ. I got to get off of the stream now.
Good night, everybody. I'll see you in the overnight stream.
Yeah. Honestly, Tigger's going to live forever now on this stream. So there you go. A great thing. Enjoy your Halloween tomorrow, everyone. Be safe. Anything to say, Ginger? Love you, Tigger.